Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hi, it is Stacy. We are doing Walking in My Shoes this morning, and this is Loving My Veteran. You know, I have to have coffee. And my incredible new coffee cup. I can't see. My Loving My Veteran cup. That came from Melissa, so if you want one, just pop in and Melissa's stuff is on our page, and I'll share it again. But you guys can order one from her. Again, let me get the crud out of the way that we have to get out of the way. This is Walking in My Shoes. Everything on here is copyrighted. We are not to Loving My Veteran. We are not paid counselors. This is just us, and if you need help, reach out. We have so much going on, and we will get to that in another point in time. I wanted today, this week, to share our story. Carl has said it's okay to do. So I want to share our story because I think sometimes, we get people on and they're like, oh, you're so positive, you're so this, you're so that, you've made it, you've done it. We don't always do it. We didn't always do it. We still have challenges. There are days that we don't sink. So this is our story. And my hope is by sharing our story that you'll feel one, your struggles are not alone, and two, that you can learn from our failures and our successes. So let me give you just a little bit of back history about both of us. Carl and I met. It's been a year and a half ago ish. So y'all people be looking at me like, oh my gosh, they act like they've done this forever. No, we haven't. Um, I have been recently divorced after a 28-year marriage. Good morning, Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy's going to hear all my dark. Recently divorced from a 28-year marriage. Um, he was very narcissistic. I was a workaholic. And I had gotten kind of back into the dating world. And I met Carl on Facebook dating. Shh, don't tell anybody. But we also had a mutual friend. He had also been married. Good morning, Nikia. In the past, had a very horrific marriage and divorce, but his divorce time was about 10 years. So he had been long divorced, and I had been recently divorced, and that was kind of interesting. So when we met, we talked forever on the phone. Started as text, then we talked on the phone, and communication was amazing. It was amazing. We talked about everything, what we like to eat. Like Jerry says, like he doesn't already know my dirt. He probably does. We talked about what we like to eat. We talked about where we wanted to go eat. We talked about everything. I can remember being as a paramedic in the streets of Savannah, like riding the thing, and there was a storm coming, and Carl was working about 20 miles west of us. So he would like take pictures of the radar and send them to me and say, be careful. I love you. We never said I love you. That was like the thing that we never said to each other. We kind of knew it. It was like this instant thing with us, but we never knew it. But it was always be careful. Um, the hardest thing for me to accept is when we finally got to the point where we did this for about 8 weeks, that we talked about everything. When we got face to face, is it he always said, "Call me beautiful," and I never saw that in me. I never saw that in me. I had never lived a life where I had been told I was beautiful. I had never lived a life where I felt that way before, and so for me, it was very hard to accept the difference in the relationships. I think that when, especially when you come together from past baggage, you tend to think that you measure your current relationship on your past relationships. You measure all of the good or all of the bad on the past. So it is hard to leave that laundry and that baggage where it was in the past. And that was something we really struggled with. Um, there have been a lot of times, even now we say it not as much as we used to, that he would say, I'm not your ex-husband, and I would say, I'm not your ex-wife. And we went through that a lot because we anticipated the other one to do that. Well, I knew Carl had PTSD. I never admitted I did. I just worked a lot and saw a lot. So, we're together, we have these routines. And shortly after we decided to move in together, Carl, who has, although he has PTSD, decided he's going to meet my family. We're going to go meet my family. And my family lives in Virginia and North Carolina and some in Georgia. And we're going to Disney for 4 days. So here is this guy with severe PTSD, right? Gonna meet a family he's never met before. And my family is loud and obnoxious and very, we're just judging and very protective. So we're gonna go to Disney. And we're gonna stay. Mom got two-bedroom villas at Disney. So my mother, my brother, and his family stayed in one, and me and Carl and my oldest son and his girlfriend stayed in the other. Well, the day before we left, my son calls and says, "Hey, Mom, can we ride down there with you? Just split the gas." And I'm like, "Sure." Okay. Never realizing that just like throws a monkey wrench into the PTSD brain. Never really, and understand that Carl and David had never met each other. So here we're going to go to Disney for 4.5 hours in a vehicle together with somebody he doesn't even know for 4.5 hours to a place that's going to stress him out. And I never thought about it. I never thought about that because I just didn't catch it. Loud noise. Shut up, Jeremy. Jeremy's putting all these commentaries on here because he doesn't know us at all. But here's this guy, and if you didn't think that was love, that had to be love like day one. So we get there that day and we check in, and we're gonna go to the luau at the Polynesian. So my mom wants front row, right? So here we are, right by the stage, all these people. And Carl is now sitting in the middle of a room up front with all these people back to the door. All right, so yeah, I couldn't understand some of the anxiety. I couldn't understand the mood change, the bodily changes, the physical changes to his body. When we're together, he's usually relaxed or whatever. He does this when he gets just the shoulder roll thing and gets really tense. And so all through dinner you could see this shoulder roll, and he was trying so hard, and we did an amazing job. But I'm not thinking about it. So I think that a lot of times, we go out and we do things and we try to go to our normal, and we don't realize that some of the stuff we do triggers them. It triggered him. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy. I won't be hurtful anymore. I can't call you a diaper, and I can't tell you to shush. Sorry. But I didn't realize this. So here we are, we're at this place, and we go to the Magic Kingdom, and I have never been when it was so crowded. It was at capacity. At capacity. You couldn't turn that there wasn't a person. So we're walking through Disney, and we're trying to hold hands and baby, look at this and look at that. And he is just totally in warrior mode, and I didn't get it. I didn't see it. It was oh, I now I look back at it, I'm thinking, what an idiot. Why did you do this to him? But he was in total warrior mode. And again, I don't think sometimes we realize what we do when we take them and put them in these situations. I'm not even thinking about it. So we go. I'm just kind of not feeling good. Everybody kind of knew that. Kind of had a little cold, or at least we thought I did. Got on Space Mountain. We're talking about when he took his kids to Space Mountain, when they were little, and to Disney when they were little. He's obviously missing his kids, and so he's remembering that time. And we're talking about when I was there. So it's just lots of conversation and learning more about each other. But imagine just the queue line at a ride at Disney. And people are all up on top of you, right? And Space Mountain is dark. I can't, Jeremy. I can't. I guess you're in here today to make me laugh so I don't cry. But here's this guy in the dark, in the queue line, in Space Mountain, and all these people and rails down both sides, and you can't go anywhere. So for somebody with PTSD, that has to be pure panic. Pure panic. Well, we're on a Space Mountain, we're riding the ride, he's sitting in front of me, I'm behind him, and I literally grab my chest and I reach up and I put my hand on him and I'm like hollering at him, I think I'm having a heart attack. And that was when I actually had a pulmonary embolism on the roller coaster at Space Mountain. I'm pale, I'm clammy, it's like ridiculously bad. And so he gets me off the roller coaster, and we've only been in the park long enough to go from the front to where Space Mountain is, get on Space Mountain, and he's like, "We're going back to the room." I'm like, "Yeah, we are." So we go back and we stay there. But the whole time we're there, this guy is like, amazing. He runs bathwater for me to make sure that I'm warm. He puts the towels in the dryer so when I get out I have dry towels. He makes sure I have something to drink all the time. He's like fluffing pillows. When we decide to go down and get something to eat, again, not thinking, y'all, this place is crowded as crap. So we're down in the contemporary eating, and there's a whole room behind us with like a half wall full of kids, okay, full of kids and people, and his back is to them. The panic I still didn't see. And it just comes from lack of education. It comes from lack of education. And so, we went through that. And you're right, sir. It was great. I mean, they were great. He was great. He was amazing. Well, the more we were together, and of course by this time I'm not working, and like I'm his project, right? And so it's like, if I breathed wrong, he was there. If I coughed wrong, he was there. Jeremy, I cannot today. Jeremy's like, some of us stay great. I love you. You are great. If I did anything, he was there. And that's continued even through our relationship. But what happened was by the time we got home, January is a really hard month for him. And he was in lots of dates, and he was in pure date PTSD cycle. And I had no idea. It was like this great guy who ran my bathwater and dried my towels has now become this easy to snap, inner space. Everything you said was wrong. Everything I said was wrong. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I will pass it on to Christy. It was awful. I felt like I didn't know who I was living with. I didn't understand dates. I didn't understand places. I knew that if like the freaking fireworks went off, it was going to set him off. But I didn't understand that you could get in a date and get stuck in your head. And learning new terminology was tough. Stuck in your head was hard to learn. It was horrible. It was like this man that I knew I loved, this man that were saying I love you, and that was the cutest way we learned to say that. But this man that I knew I loved, this man that had made me feel better in my life than I'd ever, had all of a sudden turned into this person I couldn't talk to. This person I couldn't relate to, this person I couldn't talk to. He was in his head. Everything I said made him snap. If I said something, I felt like he was interrogating me. It was awful, and I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. And so as we're progressing through the month of January, his dad had passed away, like 2 days before my dad's birthday. And my dad is already gone. So my dad's birthday is a struggle day for me. Well, he's having a struggle day. He had a service dog that his ex-girlfriend got rid of. And Queenie's birthday was right there. And this is all like in a 5-day time period. So all of this anxiety is building up in him. I can't be in a crappy mood for my dad because I can't deal with it because like he's snapping like I mean I don't even it was like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was awful at times. Well, he had gone to work and I went in and found a picture of Queenie on his Facebook. And I went and had it printed and framed for when he got home. And he saw it and he just started to cry. And it was so emotional and it was that connection like nobody had ever done that for him. Nobody had ever thought about that. So why he has this connection and he's sitting there looking at the picture of Queenie and he's very into this and thinking about all the memories and showing me the videos and doing all this. It was like a light switch went off and it was like, where'd you get the picture? Off your Facebook? Did you go on my phone? Because we're still not friends on Facebook. I don't want to be. It's just not good for either one of us to do that. I see his and he sees mine, but we're just not friends on Facebook. So it was all of a sudden, it was this level of distrust had popped up, right? And I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, what do you mean now you're yelling at me because I did something nice to you that you liked just a few minutes ago? And I'm like, what in the hell just happened here? Never realizing, not understanding PTSD enough, not understanding the military side enough to know to truly understand that trust is a key factor. And even though I did something amazing for him, when I got on his phone and went into his Facebook off of his phone, I created doubt. And so, and it wasn't like every minute was bad. We'd have good minutes, we'd get up in the morning and we'd have our coffee and we had a routine and we'd go to work. Well, I wasn't working by then, so I'd drop him off at work and I'd study and I'd do some of the stuff that I had to do. But we had a routine. I mean, like the coffee cups were a certain way. It was perfect. I mean, it was great. And then we could be in the middle of the best conversation ever, just enjoying some time together. And it was like, boom. I would say something, he would say something, and we would get triggered. And it was ugly at times. Truly ugly at times. So now we're going to fast forward just a little bit more to March. And today. Today is a date day for him. And so just say a little prayer for him because it's a struggle for him. But now we'll fast forward to March. By now, COVID's hit. We're trapped in the house. He knows that I'm sick. So we have all this stuff. We had moved, which is another big trigger. And he's sitting in the garage. And he's listening to this music. And I never realized that the music, if I pay attention to what he's listening to, it sets the tone for where he is in his head sometimes. So he keeps saying to me, the little things, the little things. I pay attention to everything. You don't pay attention to me. It's like I don't do enough to pay attention to all of his little triggers. But then he doesn't share with me. So it makes it very difficult to understand. I don't think like he does about every single little trigger. Yeah, Jim is like, there are a lot of us that have PTSD that function in such a way that family is not a comfort, so to say. There are plenty of vets that have gotten therapy and help. But his music said, I knew where he was. I knew where he was based on the music, but it took a while. And trying to have a conversation First of all, when he would snap and we would be in an argument, trying to have a conversation was tough. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, right? I am a yeller and I am a fighter and I am a screamer. And girls, gentlemen, I want to have the last word. Okay? I absolutely want to have the last word. And so as we're going through this and the music is triggering him and the music is triggering him and I know he's in a space and he wants to talk to people that comfort him and I'm not that person. Um, yeah, fireworks at the lake. I'm not that person. I can't comfort him over this the way he needed it. So he's reaching out to other people, and I got pissed. I was jealous. I got pissed. I was angry. I would scream. Y'all, I am a thrower. I would throw things. And I told you we're going to share it all good, bad, and ugly. We got into this physical altercation, not him, me. If I would come storming at him to yell, he would put his hands up and say, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And he went to walk off and got his blanket and went to walk off and go get in the truck and just have some downtime. And what did I do? I ran and jumped on his back and grabbed his throat. And you want to talk about a trigger? Y'all, he didn't break my neck. He didn't kill me. He didn't kill me. He didn't break my neck. But he could have. And he was in a space, and I did that not knowing any of how to deal with this. And it made it so much worse. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I didn't realize that some of the little things, and that wasn't like all PTSD, oh, that's relationship. In no relationship ever should somebody jump on somebody else's back and grab their throat. I'm just saying. But I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't understand it at the time. I didn't understand that I was in a place at the time. I didn't get it at the time. And that's tough. And relationships are hard enough. But then you bring baggage. And then you had PTSD. And then you had an illness. And you had life. And it's sick. And it's hard. And then you want to throw a TBI into the mix. And that makes it even tougher. So at a point where Carl felt his lowest, because he was dealing with a date. And all I'm going to say about some of these dates are, he says failure is not an option. When I made a mistake, people died. And I don't know what date goes to what, and it's not for me to share. That's his date. But when those are the kind of dates that we talk about, he had a bad marriage. He had, I'm not even going to talk about her. God, please forgive me. Please give me grace. It was a bad marriage. And he came from a situation, which I didn't know till later, that she was so verbally abusive to him that went on and on and on, that me yelling just added to it. And I wasn't used to being told I was worth a damn. So I was really expecting Carl to tell me I wasn't ever. And that didn't happen. And I guess maybe sometimes I pushed him because I never wanted to go back to that relationship, but that relationship was comfort. It was familiar, is a better word. So there's all this stuff going on, and it's so easy for everybody to sit here and say, it's PTSD, it's PTSD, it's PTSD, it's all him, 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 or all her, whoever's got the PTSD going on. And that is not true. We don't realize sometimes that we fuel it. Just like I didn't realize that maybe jumping on him wasn't about me trying to set him off. It was that maybe, just maybe, I wanted the reaction that was familiar to me. Jeremy, you're killing me. I wanted familiar. And sometimes familiar is painful. And I think that's why sometimes we don't understand when our veteran wants to go out and 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 hang out in the hammock, or sleep in the hammock, or wrap up in the blanket, or wants to go away, or wants to do something that we think is like crazy, because familiar is comforting, whether it's good or bad. And sometimes I add that. Ask him about the Twilight movie. I will. I don't even do the Twilight movie, y'all. That's like the grossest thing ever. Familiar, even bad familiar, sometimes is what we want. And we don't realize that. And so it's taken us a long time. We've really worked on this for a year or so. And it's taken us a long time for me not to jump on his back and grab his throat. And I look back at it now, y'all got to realize that when I'm sitting here on his back with my arms around him, grabbing at his throat, right? And he's walking with his hands up. With his hands up like this, so that he isn't touching me, and I am hanging there, and my feet aren't even on the floor. I'm not even on the ground. Because I guess I wanted familiar. So no, we struggle where everybody else has been. We've done what everybody else has done. We've had the verbiage that everybody else has had. We have an amazing relationship, and we have a love that I have never felt before. But in amongst that, y'all, we done some shit. And the thing is it was really screwed up, is that I love you, Stephanie. Stephanie are so like each other. We don't realize sometimes what we're doing. We don't realize, but we're frustrated. I'm not blaming. This is not a blame game here, but we're frustrated too, and we get angry, and we're always the one who's supposed to suck it up and not yell and not scream and not holler, and we're the ones who are supposed to not let our emotions out, but we're so frustrated that we end up yelling and screaming and letting our emotions out and ripping the shirt right off of their back, or grabbing them by the throat, or doing whatever it is we're doing, right? Because we're frustrated too. And all that does is create a war. And I didn't know that then. I know it now. I know it now. Our story's not perfect. We're going to go further tomorrow and really learn where it's not perfect. but you're also going to see how we recover and how we communicate and how we've gotten to where we are. Because let me tell you something. Nobody wants to address their faults on a daily basis. I don't want to hear on a daily basis, oh, Stacy, you're sick. Oh, Stacy, you have this. Oh, Stacy, you have that. Oh, Stacy, you can't do this because of that. I don't want that brought up every day. I don't want it brought up every day. So when you turn the tides and you're like PTSD this and PTSD that and PTSD this and PTSD that, you know, we're always working on stuff around here, and God love Carl, he takes it in the house every day. But this pile of stuff, y'all, this is toxic water stuff we're working on. There's a whole file cabinet behind us. There's all this stuff. Where's PTSD stuff we're working on? We got piles everywhere up in this house, and this man lets it into our house every single day. Every single day. And I love him for that. But I just need you to know that our story has a happier ending. Tomorrow we're going to talk about some of the really ugly stuff because it's happened. The being angry, the crying, why did I do this? What have I got myself into? The fact that I had to pull over in a parking lot on the side of the road, talk to Jeremy for an hour. Because I didn't know what to do. And all I said to Jeremy was, I love him and I'm not going anywhere. And that's what we do. Yeah, he does, Stephanie. But I love y'all because y'all are still fighting too. So that's kind of my story and where I'm going to end it today. That's where we are. And now I'm going to get into, because Stephanie just segued me right into it. Jeremy, I love you. You know, we are the voice of our veterans, and we are the voice of our veterans' families. And we have another website that we're working because things got just kind of escalated into something new. But projectyourvoice.org. We're going to tackle 3 of the big things that our military and veteran community is facing. I am Jeremy. I love you. That our veteran and military community is facing. One, the VA system as it is set up at a federal level is not trickling down to the local levels. We have hundreds and hundreds of letters and horror stories, and we're taking that to the powers that be and getting them to listen so we can get the care that is currently in place to our veterans, all of them across the board. We know there's work that needs to be done as far as advancing that care, but let's at least get what's at the top all the way to the bottom, and then we'll work on tweaking it around here. The second one is medications we're putting together. It should be done today. It'll be on our website as well as on projectyourvoice.org. It is going to be the medications and the side effects of the medications and how they all interact together, so that you'll have kind of a little resource thing. And it is so hard sometimes. Jeez, I look at the TBI stuff. Sarah, we're really going to address some TBI issues too going forward, and some of the new treatment that is out there for TBIs that are phenomenal. We're going to look at that starting into next week. Some of the after you've heard our story this week, we're going to look at some of the alternative options, VA options, alternative options, good medications, bad things that are actually working. And the third biggest thing that we're dealing with on projectyourvoice.org is the toxic water. There are 700 700 bases. 700 bases that have toxic water. Um, some of them are Superfund sites, and 30 years later, people are developing illnesses, and it is imperative that we get the word out. I'm going to get with Rosie today at Burn Pit and see how they started their registry, and we will also start a registry, so spreading the word is a big deal. Anyway, that's kind of where we are. It's been an amazing journey and an amazing ride, and the piles are here everywhere. Um, so it is tough. And I want everybody to know that there's always hope. There's light, and learning. You find that through this journey, you learn to heal yourself. That's a big thing, and they learn to lose theirs. Um, Sarah, I'll message you probably tomorrow, and let's talk about some of the different treatments that and what he's on, and what all is out there, because there is a lot out there that is very helpful now for TBIs that the VA is paying for. You just have to know where to go to get it. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes. We are loving my veteran. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye. I'm supposed to ask you about the Twilight movie when Jeremy was at your house with Janice.
Twilight movie?
Yep. He said I would like